I've worked with couples now for about 17 years, but before that I used to be a television producer. And in the mid-1990s I started working in the evenings for the Samaritans, which then progressed to working at Relate. And it was then that I decided that this was the path I wanted to follow. So I came to Tavistock Relationships and did the PG DIP. That's now the MA in couple and individual psychodynamic counselling and psychotherapy. I was working at Relate as a supervisor at that point. Then, having got the diploma and having had various periods of working for Tavistock Relationships, I decided to do the MA in Couple Psychoanalytic Psychotherapy. I think initially I was attracted to working with couples because of the complexity. I mean, there's something about the couple system and understanding the dynamics of a relationship that I was just really drawn to. I mean, it probably began by observing my parents and then trying to understand the relationships that I was in. But right from the beginning, I just fell in love with the work. And there's something about working in a threesome as a therapist that answers something for me. And relationships are so important to us, our happiness, our health, our whole outlook, and the quality of the couple relationship is right at the heart of this. There were a variety of reasons why I chose to do the MA in psychoanalytic psychotherapy. I mean, I'd been working with couples for quite some time at that stage, and one thing that attracted me to the training was that it involved you having to be in analysis yourself at least 3 times a week for 5 years. And well, I was intrigued. It was a way of getting to know myself better. Also, I was interested in the possibility of maybe working at a different level. I think initially I was probably somewhat sceptical about what it might actually add to my practice, but now I recognise that it has added something, and something that I just wouldn't be without. So what is that? Well, it's somewhat difficult to put into words what it actually is. But when you work with a couple, you're working at many different levels, and I think this training gave me a whole new level. It's like I now have a different level of understanding of what might be causing the distress for the couple, a different antenna, a different way of tuning in. I mean, I think I was a perfectly competent couple therapist before, but this has given me a whole different skill that now I just really couldn't be without. And most crucially, it's with this skill that I'm able to help people who are in a difficult situation try to find a way to a better place, and that is deeply rewarding. And also, I am a curious person. I love to study, I love to read, and being made to read to increase my knowledge. And being on a course and the structure of the course really helped me in that. And ultimately, I suppose, I was curious about what the psychoanalytic aspect of couple work would give me. So yes, that's really why I chose to do the MA. I chose Tavistock Relationships because of its reputation. It is the place to come if you want to study couple therapy. There's a rigour. I really like the combination of the academic with the clinical. You're even provided with your own clients here. Also, it was important to me to be with people who felt in a similar way that I did about the work, who were excited about the same ideas, and who knew a lot more than I did. And just being in an institution that wants to help and understand couple distress, I mean, it's fascinating. I really like the way that Tavistock Relationships trains people in mixing the academic with the clinical. It makes it really quite intense. I'm a tutor and a supervisor now, and intense is how I describe it to people. The training is very rigorous and it's pretty taxing, but I think that's what people want. And the support that's here in terms of supervision and tutors to help you with your written work is great. I really think it's a great place to come and learn. One of the components I really enjoyed while doing the MA was doing an infant observation for a year. And I learned so much from that, and I loved writing about it. I mean, it felt just like a real privilege to have over a whole year these hour contact visits with a baby. And in our weekly seminar group, we were able to talk it all through and learn together and then write about it. And for me, that was a real highlight of the course and an amazingly rich and rewarding experience. And another component, which I'm not sure actually happens anywhere else, and another reason that sort of pulled me towards the psychoanalytic training was and is that you work in co-therapy. So you don't just have 3 people in a room, you have 4. You work with a senior colleague, and that's very rare. Because being a therapist is quite an isolating business, and you're usually on your own in the room. I mean, you might talk about it in supervision, but ultimately it's you and your clients. So having a co-therapist there makes that very different. And you learn a huge amount. You have 2 co-therapy cases through the psychoanalytic training with couples. And that was a big plus for me. Also, as part of the training, you have to be in intensive therapy. It's something else that I found was very helpful. And in addition, I had a psychiatric placement in the NHS. And that's an invaluable way of getting inside the challenges of mental distress. And it's very moving. And like much of this training, it pushes you. And when I reflect back, it was an absolutely essential experience, and one that enhanced my learning and has made me feel able to cope with the professional demands that I now face. You also do research, and you write a lot, and you have supervision and theory. So if you combine all those things together, well, I think it's a fantastic training. I would definitely encourage people to do the MA. It really has changed the way that I work. I mean, it's a big commitment, there's no denying that, but it was so worth it for me. And I also managed to pay for part of it by working. Well, I learnt many new things studying for the psychoanalytic MA, but probably the most valuable thing was being made to think and then think again, and that was the biggest gift. And to be curious, and to have the freedom to be curious. And that comes from being in a position of knowing that you've worked hard to get to this point, but you're open and still able to learn, a kind of confidence to be curious, without feeling that you have to know all the answers. Well, I've not directly changed my career as a result of doing the MA, but I did become a member of staff here at Tavistock Relationships, and you have to have done the psychoanalytic training to do that. I'm involved with a lot of the projects here, and it's fascinating. And from adoption to couple therapy for depression within the NHS to the parents in dispute service. And I still have my private practice at home where I work with couples, but here at Tavistock Relationships, I expanded into whole other areas. Now, when I was doing some of that while I was studying for the MA, so there are those opportunities for people to work here while they study if they choose. Oh, I'd never say never to doing more training at Tavistock Relationships. I just love it. And there's the doctorate, but we'll just have to see about that.